Hi everyone, welcome back to the final video of our Circadian Medicine, Circadian Rhythm Masterclass. I hope you enjoyed the first 3 videos. And I promised that I would go over some of the hot takeaway tips, salient points that we need to follow as we kind of move into a world living in sync with the natural cycles and rhythms of nature. A very important part of Ayurvedic medicine. And I thought how I would do that is just sort of tell you exactly how I live my life in a circadian medicine way. As I was researching the times of day and the rhythms of nature, and as you know, I write about ancient wisdom and modern science, I kept digging deeper and deeper and coming across circadian medicine and coming across research on melatonin and realizing that there was just a whole wealth of science out there suggesting that these rhythms are really important. They're the river that takes everything to the ocean. And if you're not going with the current of that river, you're going upstream against the current and you're gonna feel exhausted at the end of your day. You're gonna feel like life's a struggle. You're gonna feel like every weekend is a recovery time versus an enjoyment time. This is not the way that we need to go through life. In nature, as I said, the birds don't fly south and go, oh my God, I can't do that again. No way am I doing that next year. It doesn't work like that in nature. In nature, everything is in balance and it's in rhythm and there's no exhaustion, that seems to be so extreme in the way we live our culture. So I'm going to tell you how I do it. And I think, maybe the best way to start is, I used to travel a lot. And luckily we have the internet. I don't have to do that as much. But I used to travel a lot. I used to travel every weekend. When I first met Deepak Chopra and ran his center in Massachusetts in 1987, I was in a different city every weekend for 8 years. Just travel, and crossing way too many time zones, messing up my circadian clock. And as I started to really research and understand the circadian clock, I did and have made a concerted effort not to travel anymore. And that was one of the biggest things. I'm just sort of like, not all of us can do it. And I'm luckily in a place where I could do it, but I absolutely turned down a lot of speaking engagements to make sure that I did do it. No doubt that there's ways that you can mitigate the circadian stress of travel. There's no question about that. And I've written about that. Herbs like ashwagandha and melatonin and bacopa and turmeric, and really a good amount of fish oils, good quality fish oils. Those are all what are called brain-derived neurotropic factors, and they all make sure that you support your rhythms. They're all designed to give you that rhythm support to keep you in sync. So if you fall off the wagon and you find yourself out of rhythm or crossing time zones, those adaptogenic herbs can help bring you back. Tulsi, another really great herb that's been shown to do similar support for keeping us in circadian rhythm. So those are all some things that can be done. But that was one of the first things that I did, and I think then the next thing, let's just maybe go through a whole day, right? I wake up, and usually I wake up early-ish, like somewhere between 5:30 and 6:30. It does depend on how much melatonin I take, I have to admit, truth be told. I do experiment with my body a lot with herbs. I mean, every herb that I have on my website I've taken ridiculous amounts of. So when I do experiment with melatonin and always read some study and I'm onto some new thing. But I generally take these days anywhere between 1 and 3 or 4 drops of our low dose melatonin. I have taken a year of our high dose melatonin to use it as medicinal purposes, just do a massive reset of my whole system. It's another story. But right now I'm just taking between 1 or 2 drops of melatonin. So I might wake up, let's say I wake up at 6 o'clock. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I scrape my tongue, brush my teeth, and then I like to go into the kitchen and warm up some water and drink and put some fresh lemon in it and drink some fresh lemon water. I really like that for a lot of reasons. One, lemons are the sour taste is the forgotten taste, right? We have sweet, sour, and salt that balances vata, balances your nervous system. So we all know that vata is the thing that gets out of whack in our culture the most. Sweet is a great way to calm you down, but it's not sustainable. Sour and salt. Salt, yeah, you can have salty food. I'm just not a salty person. I don't like chips. That's not the thing that I go to. Sweet, I could do that. But sour it's one of the 3 tastes that balance your vata. And we forget about it. So when you drink some lemon water in the morning, you're instantly satiated. It's really a cool thing. And what we know about the vitamin C and the sour taste is that the vitamin C has a natural way of protecting the fat-soluble vitamins. The fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K are what balance your vata. So do the good oils in your body. And they are protected by vitamin C, which is why herbs like amalaki and lemons are winter harvested herbs to help support you during the winter months. So if you're really, really pitta, then probably lemon water wouldn't be the best thing. But I'm not talking about putting a lot of lemon in there, just a little, 1/4 of a lemon squeezed in some warm water, not hot water, just some warm water, and drink that down. It's very satiating. It's kind of what I do, and I love doing it. And I think really important in the wintertime, because that's when you really want those fat-soluble vitamins to be protected. Then I'll take a shower, and I usually do take a shower in the morning. It just makes me feel better. But a lot of folks take showers at night, and it depends on when you take a shower. But whenever you do take your shower, and I'm just going to throw this in, you want to do the oil pulling and your Ayurvedic massage, and I prefer to do that in the shower. If I use our oil, for oil pulling or massage, I use a tiny, tiny bit of oil with the shower running. It spreads so easily and evenly over my body. So I use a tiny bit of oil all over my body, and that's my lotion or my hand cream. So that depends on when you like to take your shower, and that's sort of your own kind of a thing. But usually after my lemon water, then I want to get right into my routine, my daily routine, which is going to be some exercise. Now, the way I do it is I like to do some type of exercise to get my body kind of warmed up. And again, I have a little cross-country machine that I have. It's a Concept 2 where I pull down these things, and it's on a little flywheel, and I do all these different crazy exercises. It's so good for the circulation of the lymph. It's not hard exercise. It's really fun, and I put some music on and I listen to that while I do that in the morning. And then after I do that and I'm loose, I'm really then ready to do some yoga. I'm sort of not ready. I have more of a kapha body. I'm not ready to go and do a bunch of yoga first thing out of bed. I need to get some warming up in my body. So I do that first, and then I would do some sun salutations and some other yoga that I would do, and then I would go and I would do my breathing techniques. And I'm a huge fan of pranayama, and I always do pranayama. I'm doing pranayama multiple times throughout the day. But the first one I do is the pratiloma. The pratiloma, I did an article on a video called Strengthen Your Lungs Now. That's where you partially close your nostrils and you breathe in all the way, hold your breath, and then you breathe in all the way until you feel the diaphragm contract, and then let it out with ujjayi. Do that about 10 times, and on the last exhale, do a breath hold. I do that about 10 times. I do it with an oximeter, and I watch my body move into intermittent hypoxia. And read my articles on intermittent hypoxia, because the research on that is off the charts in terms of increasing stem cells in nitric oxide, erythropoietin, which is why Lance Armstrong got busted for what he got busted for injecting, guardians of the genome, basal endothelial growth factors, lowers your blood sugar, lowers your blood pressure, increases your parasympathetic activation, increases, I go on and on about all the benefits that it does. So that I do 5 rounds of that breathing with the breath hold at the end of each 10 pratiloma breaths. So that's what I do. And then I go into a meditation. After that point, you're so ready to meditate, and I go into meditation. Depending on how much time I have, it'll be like 5 or 10 minutes, okay? And then depending on the day, if I have to come and see patients or what the day is, I might then go for a little bike ride. I'm not a big fan of 3-hour bike rides. I used to be an Ironman triathlete and did a lot of long distance stuff. I'm really into the longevity piece now. So I go on we have a little bike path along the railroad tracks here in Boulder, and I'll ride there. Maybe a 20-minute, 25-minute, 30-minute bike ride. And I do my breathing while I'm doing that, big time. Always trying to breathe long, slow in and long, slow out. always thinking about my breath, always trying to be more aggressive and exert more with a longer and a slower breath. So my goal is to be more aggressive, but breathe calm. Remember, I wrote in my book decades ago, Body, Mind, Sport, the eye of the storm. The bigger the eye, the bigger the calm, the more powerful the winds. And we prove that when you breathe properly, the brain goes into a calm alpha state, a meditative state, during vigorous exercise. So I still practice those techniques, still a major believer. And by the way, there's so much more research coming out about that right now. I think when Ayurveda talked about nose breathing, they weren't kidding. It's a real deal. So that's what I do. And then I go have breakfast. Now, after my meditation, I go have breakfast. Or after my bike ride, whatever I do. So I don't do the bike ride every day. That depends on the day. Then the breakfast. You know, here's the thing about breakfast is that a lot of folks think that we should skip breakfast and eat a lunch and a supper, and then they can intermittent fast and have a 16-8 or a period of time where you eat only within an 8-hour period, then you have 16 hours where you don't do anything. And the easiest way to do that, and I agree it's easier, is to skip breakfast and have a lunch and a supper. Well, that's not necessarily the best way, because all the science that's coming in with regard to circadian medicine is saying that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and lunch are the two most important meals of the day. And I wrote an article on the 10 top reasons why we should eat breakfast, and study after study after study show the benefits of breakfast for blood sugar, for blood pressure, for setting up your metabolism, losing weight, everything. So, you can experiment with that and have a breakfast and then don't have a breakfast and see how you feel. Now, is it true that if you had no breakfast and a lunch and a supper and you intermittent fast, you'll flip your body into fat burning because you didn't eat from supper all the way till lunch the next day? Yes. Is that the ideal way to do it? No, not according to the science, and definitely not according to Ayurveda. And Ayurveda, is a time-tested, thousands-year-old science that has been proven to work because it's still practiced after thousands of years, and the science is now in suggesting that that's the way we should do it. Now, in the year 2000, I wrote an ebook. It's free, it's still on my website, called the Weight Balancing ebook. And it's the Ayurvedic intermittent fasting protocol. And it's all about having a breakfast and then a lunch and then a lighter supper, a earlier supper, and then no supper as a technique to slowly ramp up to an intermittent fasting calorie restriction program that delivers the autophagy and the stem cell activation that is the craze in the intermittent fasting world, which does it by skipping breakfast, which unfortunately is against the circadian rules, which means you're back in that river plowing upstream against the grain, and that's not really ideal. So read that ebook, read my articles about intermittent fasting, and you'll see that that's what we're talking about. And of course, then in the afternoon is the Vata time, thinking, working, doing all your mental activity, which is really, and I talked about this, right, against the grain, because we all want to go to sleep in the afternoon because we didn't digest our food well. We didn't, we had a lunch on the run, or we don't digest it. So if I eat a lot of food, I fall asleep, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't happen when you're going in the river towards the ocean downstream with the current. That's the beauty of this. You eat, you feel energy. You don't eat and fall asleep. Now, if you eat some bad food, you see yourself falling asleep, well, then okay, that was bad food. It's also a little indicator that, maybe my digestion needs a little bit of resetting, and that's another piece of the puzzle. And we have a whole digestive ebook you can read as well to help you reboot that digestive system, because that's an indicator that something is wrong. Definitely stop, relax, take time, eat your food in the midday meal for lunch. But at the same time, if you do all that and you still feel tired, we need a digestive reset, and that's what's important there. Then we go to supper time. I usually have a good breakfast, and that's either some greens out of my garden, and that I do oftentimes blend them, but oftentimes, and that's if I'm in a rush, but I don't like to blend my meals. If I blend them, it's because I'm looking for some really small glass of some high concentrated micronutrients that I want to get that I might not get from just chewing them. But normally I will take my greens and I'll have that green drink with some greens or with some oatmeal or as part of a meal as opposed to just a green drink. That's generally not my meal. And the research on chewing I've written about is really important. That chewing, it changes brain chemistry, it pumps your brain, it strengthens your jaw muscles, keeps your palate open so your airways stay open so you don't snore at night. There's a whole bunch of stuff in that regard that is really, really important. So for supper, supper is going to always be for me a smaller meal or a much lighter meal. I generally have, rarely, and we're all human and I break the rules, as much as I can and get away with it. But I generally don't have any carbs at night. I try to eat a very low carb, meal. And if I'm breaking the rules for a while and, you get on a stick where somebody in the house has bought ice cream or whatever and I do it, I'm fine with that. But I always monitor my blood sugar in the morning and I make sure that I'm not getting out of whack. And I always, I'll go off the trail for a while, but I always come back. And I think that's the beauty of the human body. If you don't keep it off the trail and, and now you're bushwhacking through life, you can't take it 24/7 every day. But you can go enjoy some things and, have a glass of wine at night, if that's what you like here and there. I think those things are fine. And I will do those things. And I will if we go out to dinner, I will go out to dinner and I'll have a dessert. But if I'm going to go out to dinner one night, I'm not going to have a big lunch that day. So I'm probably going to have a lighter breakfast and a lighter lunch, and I always try to go out to dinner as early as I possibly can, that's for sure. So I'm in there with the senior discounts, which is great. So supper is always a little bit on the earlier side and the lighter side, the very best I can. And then when you think about bedtime, when I've talked about the blue light and the blue light glasses and making sure your screen is 24/7 blue light blocking, the orange filters over your light. The blue light screen is on your computer, block the blue light. The research shows it increases brain damage, breaks it down the retina cells. There's issues with blue light that we're only beginning to understand. So why take a chance? Just put some blue light blockers on when you're in front of a screen. I think that's really, really important. I also, before I go to bed every night, I take my little drops of melatonin before I put the tape on my mouth, because once you put the tape on your mouth, you can't put the melatonin in, which I've done a couple of times. And one time I actually tried to cut a little hole through the tape and squeeze some melatonin in there, which was a disaster. Leaked in, it was, anyway, so you don't have to do that. But I do take a couple drops of melatonin before bed, and then I put some tape on my mouth and I tape my mouth shut. And if I haven't told you about that, read my article on mouth taping before you go to bed. The benefits of nitric oxide while you sleep, the benefits of when you sleep at night, what happens is you breathe through your nose. And you don't know if you breathe through your nose or your mouth until you put tape on, and if you see the tape still on in the morning, or it's somewhere in the other room. What happens is the tongue gets forced up to the top of your mouth onto your palate. And research has shown that when you breathe through your nose at night, the tongue pushes up on the palate and it slowly separates your palate and opens up your airways. And if you breathe through your mouth and snore a lot, the airways, and don't chew, then the palate starts to get tighter and tighter and tighter. The airways become smaller. You have to kind of crank your head up and snore to breathe at night, get sleep apnea, and there's a host of complications that happen, health concerns that happen as a result of not having open airways. They did a study with chimpanzees, and they took blocks and plugged up their nose, and they couldn't breathe through their nose, and they went to bed, and they lived that way for a couple of years. In short order, their palate started to collapse inside of their up in here, up in the soft palate and the hard palate started to collapse. Their faces got narrow and longer. They started having breathing issues, and a whole host of health concerns ensued. And when they opened them up, their face got normal again. They started chewing again and breathing through their nose properly again as well. When I wrote my first book, Body, Mind, Sport, which was really all about nose breathing exercise, I found the research showing that, in fact, the nose breathing was something that was taught to young children in India. And now I've come to know that it's taught to kids, indigenous kids around the world. It was a tradition. Tuck their chin, shut their mouth, teach your kids to breathe through their nose. And now we know when the palate gets smaller, because you have your mouth open as a kid, the jaw gets narrow and longer, and you can't fit your teeth, so the doctors say pull them out. It's a whole thing that I think is quite phenomenal and quite amazing research. So I've been taping my mouth for years. I think it's really valuable because you produce nitric oxide when you breathe through your nose, which means if your mouth is closed at night, you're getting 8 hours of solid nitric oxide delivery, which is a Nobel Prize winning panacea molecule. If you breathe with your mouth open and you don't know if it's open or closed, if you don't tape your mouth, and if you open your mouth, you get 0 of that. So that's my routine. Then I go to bed, usually early. I'm a what do you call it? A reformed night person. I'm happy to say that I used to be a night person, card carrying member. At 10 o'clock, I'd get a second wind. When I was in college, I would be sleepy at 8 o'clock trying to study, forcing myself, and then at 10 o'clock, boom, I get a second wind and I would study till 2. I hate to say that my first 2 books I wrote between 10 o'clock and 2, the kids would go to bed, I'd go to my computer and I would start writing till 2. And anyway, I think it was a bad idea. Now, I'm reformed, I'm wiser, and I love going to bed early. You know, by 9:30 or 10. In the summertime, it's a little later because like this, it's not even dark by 9:30. So that shifts a little bit. But for sure, I'm in bed way early, which is just a great thing. And therefore, I'm up early, which is great as well. Okay, so that's my routine. I hope that works. You know, you always think about that story that I tell. If you go to bed at midnight and wake up at 10, usually you're going to feel groggy and heavy and sleepy that next day or stiff. But if you went to bed at 8 o'clock and woke up the next morning at 6 o'clock compared to going to bed at midnight and waking up at 10, compare that to going to bed at 8 o'clock and waking up at 6. When you wake up at 6, you feel so much better. The only difference there is how much sleep you got and when you got it. Both nights were 10 hours of sleep. So it's just when you got to sleep makes all the difference. When you get the food makes all the difference. It's all about getting our body in sync to eat, sleep, breathe in rhythm with the natural cycles of nature. And that brings us to seasonal eating, which I talked about. And I talked a lot about that in the earlier videos. In the summertime, you really want to make sure that you're cooling yourself down all summer with cooling foods. Fruits and vegetables are naturally being cooked on the vine for us, and making sure you're getting your fair share. Towards the end of summer, you want to be thinking of pomegranates, watermelons, and apples, what I call my super cooling foods, which I love. We lovingly call it the PAW diet: pomegranates, apples, and watermelons for the summer to keep yourself really cool. And then come winter and the fall, you have like the beginning of winter where you want to be pigging out on the fats and because the grains are being harvested and which are loaded with good essential fatty acids, all your vegetables, your fruits. It's just an abundance of food. It's a time to build and restore for the winter, and then which is really important. And then in the latter part of winter, things become more austere. We go into spring, and we start to go into more calorie restriction. And I talked a lot about those rhythms and how important they are in the videos that we talked about. So I won't go over those, but definitely know that we do produce our 3-season diet eating guide, where you get 3 recipes, grocery list, and superfood list for every month of the year for free. Every month I update that based on the newest research, the best I can. We've been doing it for a bunch of years now. So it's really getting more and more robust as we have great new recipes that we put in there that are really great. So definitely get those, make sure you're signed up for that. I'm sure you are. And then go from there. And then as part of the seasonal approach to circadian rhythms, if we laid just off the land and lived exactly like the circadian rhythms, we wouldn't have to do anything except to eat the food that nature provides. But we don't, and it's hard. They have things like ice cream and pizza that we do splurge on here and there, right? And so it's sometimes harder to stay in balance. And that's where using the seasonal transitions to change from in this particular time of year, from summer into winter, as an opportunity to do a major detox. And of course, here at LifeSpa, we offer cleanses, particularly the Colorado cleanse, which is our 2-week major reboot, digestive reboot, a lymph cleanse. making sure your digestion is strong is so critical, because your digestive pathways are linked to your detox pathways. If you can't digest well, you can't detoxify well. And in an environment with 4 billion pounds of toxic chemicals dumped in the American environment every single year, you better be a good detoxifier, which means you better be a good digester, which means that if you can't eat wheat or dairy or corn or nuts or seeds or grains or beans, where some people say take them out of your diet, there's issues with that. Because like I said, if you eat a meal and you feel tired in the afternoon, maybe it was bad food, okay. But if that becomes a habit, then there's a good indicator that your digestive strength has become weakened, which means your ability to detoxify has become weakened. And those toxic chemicals are going into your gut, into your lymph, into your fat cells, into your brain, and they're storing there to rear their ugly heads down the road when you become weaker as you get older. That's how it works. So making sure you're a good digester and a good detoxifier is critical. And that's literally why I created the Colorado Cleanse, was to do a digestive reboot, lymph cleanse, liver cleanse, gallbladder flush. It helps repair and heal the intestinal skin. It turns on the digestive fire, so we reboot the digestive fire. And the coordination between your stomach making acid, your liver making bile, your pancreatic ductal enzymes making enzymes, that all has to coordinate just right. So you break down the wheat and the dairy and the corn and the nuts and the seeds and the beans efficiently, so those proteins go and they feed you. Because if you don't break them down and you eat them and you don't feel good eating them, that means that the proteins didn't get broken down, the fats didn't get broken down, they end up going into your gut. And where do they go? Not into your blood. They're too big to go into your blood because they weren't broken down. They go into your lymph and they create lymph congestion. And they bog down, they create issues with your skin, with your complexion, with the lymph around your belly, so you get bloated and extra weight around your belly. Compromise your immunity, your immune function. Of course, your brain lymphs are draining waste out of your head, 3 pounds every year while you sleep. And that gets compromised, and that can link to a host of cognitive issues and mood-related concerns as well. So the Colorado Cleanse is really all about that. And we do it twice a year as a group, which is kind of a cool thing. Twice a year we do it as a group, and which means when you do it as a group, and maybe it's your first time doing the Colorado Cleanse, we hold your hand. We give you emails every single morning. There's a community forum where you talk to cleansers from around the world. We oftentimes have 500 to 800 people cleansing at a time, which is super cool. You can talk to other cleansers, share recipes, ask questions. It's really cool. We have live question and answer sessions that I answer all your questions throughout the cleanse 3 times during the whole cleanse process. Those are really popular and really a lot of fun for all of us, as well as online information like a cleanse portal where you get all the information that you need to successfully complete the cleanse. And that's the Colorado group cleanse that we do twice a year, which is coming up this fall. And you can be part of our group, or if our dates don't work for you, you can do it anytime. We have something called the Anytime Colorado Cleanse, which means that our dates don't work. And in the Anytime Colorado Cleanse, it's the exact same cleanse. You just do it on your own. You get the 7 herbs that are part of the Colorado Cleanse. You get the massage oil, the Ayurvedic ghee that we use to do the ghee and khichdi part of the cleanse. There's 7 days of khichdi food that's in the kit. You get our brand new Colorado Cleanse seasonal cookbook book, which is really cool. Used to be just the Colorado Cleanse book. Now it's a seasonal cookbook as well, which I love. You get a DVD with all the yoga and videos about it as well. And all this comes with the group cleanse or the Anytime Cleanse. You get all that. And with the group cleanse, of course, you get the additional support. So I encourage all of you to definitely, every time the seasons change, do a cleanse. And the Colorado Cleanse is just something that we've been doing for, more than a decade now, twice a year. And the reports we have, people come back and do it again and again and again. It's 14 days, I get it. The first 3 days are really kind of strengthening your digestion and resetting digestive strength. And the next 7 days are repairing and healing intestinal skin, doing a liver gallbladder flush and a lymph flush. And then the last 3 days are another more aggressive digestive reset. Pretty cool design to this cleanse. It goes by really fast. And you have all the support you need. And that's what's neat when you're doing it with a group. People feel like, hey, this is good. I'm not alone doing this crazy thing, all by myself. And anyway, in a way of thanking you guys for watching and enduring these videos, we have a special offer to make the Colorado Cleanse really affordable for you. And that's what we like to do with these free courses, is if you watch that and you like the courses, hope you like this Circadian course. I think it's just such critical information. But to thank you guys for watching it, we offer a special limited time offer. And that means all of our group cleanses and anytime cleanses, all of them are 20% off, which is which is up to a 60% or a $60 savings, which is pretty cool. So all of our group cleanses and anytime cleanses are on sale, 20% off, and that gives you as much as $60 off. Included with that is a free gift, which is our 28-day Ayurvedic challenge, which is a $177 value. It's 28 videos, 28 PDFs, and 28 emails you get every day. So each day you get a new Ayurvedic technique to explore and to experience. So you learn Ayurveda by experiencing Ayurveda, which is cool. So that is also part of this special gift. You get the 20% off the cleanse kits, plus you get $177 value of the free Ayurvedic challenge, which is a really popular course for us. And the total, that's up to a $230 savings if you buy the kit right now. You get the $28-day Ayurvedic challenge right now, and you get your cleanse kit, right now, if you just, opt into this special offer. And there's a button you can click on right now and just, sign up for our cleanse and do the cleanse with us this fall. I do the cleanse twice a year religiously. I do a cleanse, either the Colorado cleanse or a short haul cleanse or a Kaya Kalpa cleanse. The Colorado cleanse is definitely the one that's the most, no doubt, the most powerful in terms of resetting function. I always say that if you do a cleanse, and a lot of cleansers out there, and they just detox you and they just pull all the junk out of your body. And I always ask the question, well, why did the junk get there? How did the fat-soluble toxins end up in your fat cells in the first place? It's because your liver was not able to keep up. Your ability to break down fats broke down, and your body was now storing toxins into the fat cells, under the rug, under the mattress, in the attic, or the basement, anywhere it could, and it wasn't allowing you to get rid of those toxins. So you can't just go do a cleanse until you stop the snow from falling. You can't shovel snow in a snowstorm and make any progress. If you just go and clean and detoxify and don't reset the reason why the toxins got there in the first place, you end up just shoveling snow in a snowstorm. Which means you do this cleanse, you feel better for 2 weeks, and then you feel yucky again. And I've done that many, many times in my life. I'm sure you have too. You feel great during the cleanse, great right after, and then within a couple of weeks or a month, you're right back to where you were. That's not cool. It's not good enough. And so many of our cleansing clients have said, I used to not be able to eat wheat, and now I can. I feel so good, and the benefits last because we've reset function. That's the Ayurvedic way. It's not just to do a symptomatic relief. It's all about resetting function. So please check out this special offer. Like I said, it's $60 off or 20% discount off of our group cleanse and anytime cleanse kits, and a free $177 anytime 28-day Ayurvedic challenge. We get all the videos for 28 days, the PDFs for 28 days, and the emails about what you're going to get for 28 days in a row. And you can opt them every day if you want, or every other day, or every 2 days, every week, whatever you like. It's yours to keep, to enjoy that information and learn in Ayurveda by experiencing Ayurveda. So check it out, our Colorado Cleanse free offer. Check it out. You can opt in and click the button down below. And thank you so much for enjoying and listening to this course on circadian medicine. And thanks very much for being a part of our family here at LifeSpa.com. Take care. I'm Dr. Douillard. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and share.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at LifeSpa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.